In our history, we've been talking about the Hopi tribe. This is a tribe that lived in southwestern part of the United States, kind of like where Arizona is, and that area in New Mexico, right around there, lower part of California, perhaps. That's where these people lived, and these were peaceful people. And because they were peaceful, I suppose whenever there's peace, there's always somebody who wants to mess it up. And so they, in order to protect themselves, they built their houses, called pueblos, on top of flat pieces, flat hills. So there were hills that went up and they were flat on the top, and they built their houses up there. And you can see a picture on page 40, a picture of one of their houses on that flat land. And they built their houses out of clay because that's what they had the most of. So they had rocks and clay, and they would take vegetation like weeds and that kind of thing to kind of keep the clay into position. They often crawled down through the roofs into their houses without having doors. They did have openings though, because it was a very hot area. It's hot. It was hot then, and it's still hot today. It's a very warm area, and so they're constantly trying to cool. And so they made openings, and their houses were hooked together, kind of like an apartment house would be. They had ladders to crawl up on top of their roofs and come down, and many times they didn't even have doors in their houses. Isn't that kind of funny? These were the people also that ate corn, because once they got built their pueblo on top of the mesa, they did not leave. They were there all their lifetime, and probably for generation after generation after generation, they used this same pueblo. And so down below on the valley floor, they would grow something. They would grow corn. They would grow gardens, but corn was the most of what they grew there. And they had to irrigate. That means they had to get water from some other source, and if they weren't close to a river or a creek, they would dig ditches to make the water swoop down in, or rush down into their land and water their plants. Or sometimes they just have to bucket it out, but they would grow corn, and with that corn they would dry it, and mostly they would use it that way. Yes, they would eat some, but they would dry it because then they could keep it for a long period of time. And so they would dry the corn, and when it got really dry, then they would grind it into a flour, and they would make a pancake out of it by adding some water to it and then pouring the pancake on a hot stone, and the mommies would take it, flip it over, and then roll it up and kind of be like a taquito, and they would dip that in the stew. Sometimes they would dip that into a vegetable stew that from vegetables they had grown in the garden. So it was very kind of an interesting lifestyle using this corn, and it's kind of funny that the dads took care of the corn. Actually, the moms built the house and the dad took care of the corn. That was kind of different. And then in their gardens also they grew something else called cotton. And they were not Indians that wore skins, because there were no skins. You remember the Sioux Indians wore buffalo skins, and the Cherokee and the Chippewa, they both wore deer skins usually. But not this tribe. This tribe wore cotton clothes, and they grew cotton, and the cotton grows. It grows about 2 feet tall, and it grows into a pod, and it looks like that. You've probably seen mommy probably has a cotton ball that you've seen, but it grows like that, and it opens up. It's tight at first, but when it opens up, it has this cotton, this fluffy white cotton, and the cotton has seeds in it. They would take the seeds out, and they would separate all the cotton, and they would start to twist it into threads. And sometimes they dyed the threads. They would dye it with different plants, and they would to smash out a cactus on it and would turn it kind of green, or take a cactus flower and turn it kind of orange or yellow or red. And so they would dye their threads, or sometimes they would take clay, and that also they had red clay, and that would dye their fabric the red. And it was the men that made the clothes. So these people did not wear skin clothes, they wore cotton clothes, which was really a nice comfortable feel, because skins are hot. They're meant to be warm. But the cotton clothes are nice, and they're nice and comfortable and nice and cool in the summertime and warmish in the wintertime. In the wintertime, they also did wear some skins, however, but their skins were very small skins. They would wear some moccasins, or sometimes their clothes would be made out of usually a rabbit because that's all they really had. They didn't have any bigger animals. So they would make rabbit skin coats or rabbit skin moccasins for the wintertime. But all summertime and the fall and the spring, they would wear their cotton clothes, and the dads were the dads were the growers, and they would grow the cotton, and then the dads would do the weaving. Remember, weaving is in and out, and then out and in, okay? And that's how you make cloth. So, and they enjoyed the beauty of creating different colors in their clothes. This is a place that has lots of clay, and so the women were very, very good about making clay pots. They also made woven pots with some of the reeds or the reeds that we find beside the streams, or maybe even on the desert floor there would be some grasses that grew. And they were very creative in their design work in making pots. And so the women spent much of their time making pottery, painting pottery, and also making some woven baskets and so forth. And to be honest, if you go down into that area even today, you will find that the Native Americans still are they're very creative and making pots, making pottery, or making they're weaving baskets or making shawls and blankets. They're very talented that way. These Indians, since there was no Christianity, you know that, these Indians kind of made up this thing about a kachina. And the kachina was supposed to be like a good luck doll or good luck charm. And maybe you've played with that a little bit and said, well, I have a lucky penny or whatever. But these people actually believed in luck, and they believed that this doll had power. And they would make this little doll look kind of like a little robot. There's a picture of it there on page 43 or 42. And it looked kind of like a little robot kind of thing. It was colorful. And they would hang the kachina over the front door if there was a door, or they would hang it in the kitchen. They would hang it, well, I don't know if they had a kitchen, but they would hang it in their house somewhere. And this doll was supposed to bring some kind of good luck to the house. And I've heard people use horseshoes or a rabbit's foot, and those kind of supposed to bring good luck. So some people carry a cross for good luck. There really is no such thing as luck, and you know that. But these people did not know that, and so they honored this kachina. So if you had a kachina in your house, it was like, well, this house was, we would say blessed. They would say this house is full of luck. And this is going to be a lucky house. This is going to be a good house. And sometimes the men would dress up as kachinas, and they would kind of, do some dances and go around the village. And it says they would ask boys and girls if they were being good, and if they weren't good, then the kachina would kind of get after them and kind of punish them. Anyway, it was, to us, it would be all in fun, but to them, it was a lifestyle. It was a way of, kind of a part of their religion, if you will. And this belief in a kachina, like a kachina could have any power. And it's like anybody who believes in an idol, who trusts in an idol, those in India and Thailand that are Buddhists and trust in Buddha, that Buddha can help them some way. When we all know that Buddha can't do anything, he's already dead. And to be honest, he's really already in hell. So he is not a person to be trusted, but there's nations that honor this man and bring things to his statue and bow down to him and kiss steps and bring money and bring food and think that he has power, and he really has no power. He's already died. If he had been perfect, he wouldn't have died. But guess what? He wasn't perfect, so he died. And there's only one that's perfect, and that's Jesus Christ. So that's who we honor. That's who we worship. That's who we serve with our lives. So in this world, the kachina was kind of like their idol. They believed that it had power. All right, so kind of a little bit about this tribe, the Hopi tribe, very peaceful tribe, very sweet tribe. And remember, I said that also, not in the Hopi so much, but in many of the tribes that lived down there, lots of them just lived in caves because there were many caves because of the wearing away and washing away of the clay, and it caused many caverns and many caves, and some of the Indians just lived in the caves. But not these people. Remember, they lived in pueblos on top of mesas. So you're going to have a quiz in just a few minutes. So enjoy reading and looking at the pictures, and then take your quiz when you're ready. Okay, bye-bye.